More things out there. Ryan Miller, who's it's been a great day. Now, did you just tell me that you had another award?
I did. Yeah, my wife's starting to get fed up with me because I won another guitar, which we're running out of wall space. Yeah, we're running out of wall space in our house, but. I just was fortunate to win recently here the American Songwriter Magazine Lyric Contest, a quarterly contest, and this is the third time that I've done that. And my wife, as I say, you can never have too many guitars.
Is it a playable cheapie, or is it a good guitar?
It's like a Gibson J45.
No kidding.
This is the real deal. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a much better guitar than I am a player. So
you hang it on the wall?
I hang it on the wall, but I have easy access to it whenever I need it.
Jeez. Mm-hmm. Ryan Miller, who is also beside an accomplished guitarist and singer.
Wow, he's an accomplished guitarist.
I never said that.
He's also an accomplished executive director of the Office of Workforce Development.
And he's got a real job?
Yeah, he does. In between chords, he's got a real job. So, how you doing? Everything okay?
We're busy.
I got one quick shot here. Okay. Mike Richards. Does anybody ever know the name Mike Richards? You and Prez? He's expected to be announced as the successor of Alex Trebek.
Really?
Who is Mike Richards?
I don't know.
Is he one of the producers of the show?
He has reportedly passed Phil. He has a reported past filled with allegations of harassment and discrimination. So now he's got some PR problems. See, I think they went about this all the wrong way. I mean, you can do this fill-in thing for a while, but I think they've drug it out.
Yeah, no question.
According to a report made by the Daily Beast, Richards has been accused of several accounts of harassment by models on The Price is Right, where he served as a producer back in the late 2000s. So you might be right. Jeopardy has not named Richards yet, who is currently executive producer of an ABC quiz show, as the official permanent host of the show. There were a lot of other people who were pretty good on that.
I think so too. That's that's my mom's favorite show. And little known fact, two things. My mother-in-law was on Jeopardy years ago. Was leading going into the final question. I won't belabor what happened, but suffice it to say,
you remember what the final question was?
Yeah, it was something about, and it was, of course, this was in the 80s, right? The early 80s. Yeah. It was like what this president or this letter. 3 presidents with the last name that starts with this letter, and of course Reagan was one of the responses. Yep. But she was going through Roosevelt's, and she couldn't think. Anyway, and I'm probably now in trouble. Sorry, my mother-in-law.
Well, it something like, what's the favorite food of what's the favorite fish in Mississippi, or something like that.
right. To her defense, I don't think any of us could have done any better. So
we had an interesting week as far as across the state, and this time of the year, all the way into fall. There's so many things going on. From the tourist events and everything else. The expo was this past weekend. I think it was a pretty darn big success from what I hear already. And as far as people knocking on the door for the state of Mississippi and the Office of Workforce Development, give us a little bit of an update.
Sure. So I am now literally 3 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days on the job, but no one is counting, right? This is it's roughly 4 months that I've been in this role, and it is still a breakneck pace. In the way I usually describe it to people, there are different phases. Is my plan in this office and rolling out these different phases, and we're about to bring the first phase to a close. Is basically getting our arms around what the current condition is of workforce strategy in the state of Mississippi. We've been going to all the community colleges. In fact, we continue to make our rounds to the community colleges to better understand what they're doing in their local communities and the needs that they might have. So getting the current condition. The next phase is what I call setting the table. I had mentioned to you the last time I was on, I think we were at the convention center, that we have created this ecosystem approach. There are 8 ecosystems, as we can tell, throughout the state. Those are 8 micro-regions, if you will, that have different infrastructure, different population densities. They have different geography. So obviously they have different needs as it relates to workforce that we want to be able to help with. So setting the tables in these communities where we bring educators, economic developers, industry leaders, policy leaders, all to the table to help us better understand, boots on the ground, what are your current needs and where do we need to push this ecosystem in the future to provide better, higher-paying jobs for your people. So we're about to get into this setting the table stage, getting people in those ecosystems around the tables.
Is out of that coming the possibility of some laws being written and at least pushed through the 2022 session?
Well, we've been in contact, obviously, with our legislators and certainly in constant contact with the governor, Lieutenant Lieutenant Governor's office. I'm not exactly sure if there's any legislation that's coming out of that specifically, but I can tell you that I will always be a voice and an advocate to trying to help the legislature better understand what's going on in their communities, and that might impact what they do come that season.
Ryan Miller, Executive Director of the Office of Workforce Development. Andrea Mayfield is the president of the Mississippi Community Colleges, has announced that she's going to retire. Mm-hmm. How does that work into what you're doing?
Sure.
And looking for somebody to work with going forward?
Sure. Well, Dr. Mayfield's always been very kind and very forthright with me, and I think even in my initial days of coming onto this role was very proactive in trying to reach out and provide information as to what the board was doing. And so I certainly wish her the best of luck, and I'm certainly grateful for the years of service that she has poured into the state of Mississippi. I will tell you that I think we have a strong relationship with a lot of the folks of the Community College Board. Sandy Christ, Kel Smith, those folks have been very helpful, trying to basically dovetail what we do. So Accelerate Mississippi, or the Office of Workforce Development, certainly is the point person or the point entity for workforce strategy development. But we want to continue to work with the board and try to be a resource to them, and I know that they want to be a resource to us.
There's another dynamic that goes on here that a lot of people don't talk about. Everything's changing. Mm-hmm. It's changing in the workforce. The pandemic has sped that up a lot. But that means there's some vulnerabilities on the community college level. There's some vulnerabilities on the IHL level as far as senior colleges out there.
Sure.
Whether you go to college or not, whether you go from high school into the workforce, how much is this going to affect as far as tuition? How much is this going to affect the enrollment at a community college? All of these things. There's dynamics that we don't even think about, and I know you do at that level. Can you speak to that?
Sure. I mean, it's a sliding scale, right? I mean, you move one dial this way, the other dial goes the opposite direction.
Perfectly said.
So you've got to find a balance there. What we're trying to do is, I would say, create parity. A better sense of equilibrium between the different pathways for students. So when people say, this is what I hear all the time, not everybody needs to go to college. I know what they're trying to say, even the best of intentions. They're trying to say that there's opportunities besides going to a four-year college, but saying not everybody needs to go to college, you're still creating this us versus them kind of paradigm, this idea that, well, you're not as successful because you're going to a two-year college or vocational training program. What we're trying to do is say going to a four-year college may be plan A, but there's another plan A, right? It's not a plan B to go to community college or to go to vocational training. They're equally beneficial for success.
But that's a cultural thing.
Sure,
it's just going to take a long time.
Sure,
generational change there.
No question about it.
If we had a way to do that PR-wise, bringing in the PR part of that too, is just choose the amount of education that is required by to fulfill your dreams,
right?
Your talents and your dreams are what you want to do.
Sure.
Then here's what. If you want to be a CPA, if you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor,
right?
You know exactly where it is.
Sure.
If you really want to own your own construction company and build homes and commercial buildings, here's the avenue you take.
Sure. I think, and we're knee deep. Accelerate Mississippi is knee deep in trying to develop that PR campaign, because you're right, we have to change that narrative. But it's dollars and cents. I graduated from law school in 2008 with $100,000 worth of student loan debt. Now, if I'd had that $100,000 just to put in a mutual fund in 2008, I have nearly $500,000 right now, helping students understand the power of a dollar over time and what kind of careers can get them there faster. That's what we got to do.
And you know how to spell tort